All right, awesome. We will get started. Thank you all for joining us this morning for our talk on Anyone Can Be an Alphabet Soup Ally. We appreciate that it is early and we all danced a lot last night, so appreciate you all being here to listen to us this morning. My name's Jess Pomfret. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm a data platform engineer. I work for Data Masterminds, and I'm an MVP. But none of that actually matters today, because this slide is usually about where you gain some credibility, right? Like, why should you listen to me talk about, hopefully, DBA tools, but unfortunately not today. So none of that really matters. What matters instead is my story and how I got here, which is super awkward, because I'd rather talk about technology. But my story started, this particular story started a long time ago. I've played football from as long as I can remember. Like, that is the first thing I remember doing. And I was the first girl to play on my primary school football team. I'm in the bottom over there. I don't know my lefts and rights, but over there. And so from a young age, I played football and I was part of a team. And at this point, I was part of an all-boys team. As I said, I was the first girl. But after primary school, I got back to playing in girls' teams and in women's teams. And I was decent at football, so I played up with the women's team from a pretty young age. And I was surrounded by powerful women role models on my team. And that is kind of where this story starts. Because some of those women that I played football with that were on my team were gay, and they were in relationships with same-sex partners. And so from a young age, I didn't really see it as being different. I just saw it as some of my friends had male partners, some of my friends had female partners. And so as I grew up and as I started to realize that I didn't really care about men at all, it wasn't weird to me. And so it was nice that I had people I could talk to, and it was just kind of normal. It wasn't awkward or difficult to think about. In 2005, I moved to America, and I moved to Ohio, which, if you know anything about America, it's a pretty rural state. It's very Republican, and I wasn't sure how I was going to fit in there. Like I said, I went there to play football, and so I kind of closeted myself for a couple of years. And I just played football, I went to school, and I didn't really talk about my personal life. And that separation of who I was as a person is really difficult. And people deal with this all the time, trying to not be their full, authentic self. But after a couple of years, I realized that there were still good people around me, and I still had those supportive people to rely on. And those allies will be around for you throughout your life, and you'll find them wherever you are. So this talk is going to be about how to be a good ally, how to be a good person for those people around you, so you can help them to be their full, authentic self. That was in 5 minutes, but I'm handing over to Linda.
I'm going to talk some slower.
Yeah, you should talk slower.
Yeah. As Jess said, we're colleagues. My name is Linda Torong, and I work as a data platform engineer. I usually do analytic solutions and help our clients to do their work better and more automated. And that's usually where I end my presentation. But we're doing the long round today. So I am born and raised in Sweden, and I am brought up in a very small village. And I mean very small village. And this was before the internet was a thing, and there wasn't really any news coming into this small village. So yeah, you had the information that you had. And growing up, I was the weird kid on the block. I didn't really see myself as weird. I just realized that I didn't have the same interest as most of the other girls around me. I loved playing video games, Dungeons and Dragons, racing my snowmobile as fast as humanly possible, and doing fun stuff. The other girls did not understand me at all, and I did not understand their love for giggling and doing things. It's still weird to me. But the thing is, they never questioned me. They always accepted me for who I was. And I'm so thankful for that, even today. Those were my first allies before either me or them knew about it. And when I was about 11, 12, my family and me moved to a bigger town. So I started a new school, gained new friends, and that was all very educational for me. And while on recess one day, I was out on the swings, trying to get as most
height, speed
as possible, so you can, at the top of the height, jump off and get as far as possible.
Real smart.
As anyone else would do. And this young girl came up to me, and she asked, out of the blue, if I wanted to be her girlfriend. I was so shocked, so flabbergasted. Like, the only thing that I could say to her was, we can do that? Sadly, I said no, but the months coming after that was so eye-opening to me. It explained so much to me what had been going on for so many years, but I had no way of defining it. So from that day, I knew how to define myself as a bisexual, and I'm so happy and thankful for that brave young girl coming up to me. I don't know where I would be today without her. But yeah, okay, I tried to not show that.
There's no way past it.
There's no way past it.
I put an animation.
Yeah.
You said if I had to have an embarrassing picture,
so,
that you had to have one too.
Exactly. That weird young girl doing all of that weird shit. When other girls in the school photographs had their cute dresses on or things, I did not.
Oh.
And I'm also trying to cover up a bandage because I had bandages and blisters and bruises every year. Like, my mother used to be worried when I didn't have bandages somewhere on me. It was just more fun that way. And I think that smirk kind of knew she was onto something, but didn't really know what it was at the time. But yeah, so that's us. And we are also doing questions for you during this session. So either you scan that QR code, or you go into the menti.com and push that. And we urge you not to do all of the question in advance, but we take them as we go. Can I give you just some seconds?
I think they're just taking pictures of us, actually.
Yeah. I would do that. Okay. So we are starting off immediately with the first question. Maybe you've seen it already as well?
You want me to swap?
Nice. Yeah.
All right, the results are already coming in.
Yeah. Do you find the LGBTQIA+ area confusing?
And be totally honest, it's cool. It's anonymous, no one knows what you're pressing. We understand that there are many letters in this, what we're calling this alphabet soup, that we hope to clear up a little bit for you today.
Yeah. Nice.
Cool.
Good. Good crowd.
All right, so I think we're in a good spot, right? We've got most people are in the clearish, meaning that they probably understand some of the letters, or some people saw Elle's talk yesterday where they went through this and taught us some of the letters too, which was awesome. We've got 8 people that are clearer, which is awesome, and then we've got 3 that are unsure, which is cool.
Yeah.
We're going to keep that there for now.
We're going to try to move the unsure crowd to the more clearish, clearer, at least.
Good.
Yeah. So we are actually going to start with defining this kind of LGBTQIA+ concept. And this whole concept came to be as a way to be more inclusive towards different gender identities and sexual orientations and all the other expressions that there is in this community. So we're going through each of the letters. The first one, the L, stands for lesbian, and that is a female romantically or sexually attracted to other females. Pretty simple. Gay is just a person or an individual attracted romantically or sexually to another person of the same gender. Then we have the bisexuals, it's myself, and those are the people attracted romantically or sexually to both females and males. Moving on to the T, we have the transsexual people.
Transgender.
Transgender, sorry.
Yes, sir.
you're going to see that we don't have it all together as well, and that is fine. But that is a person whose gender identity differs from the sex that they were assigned at birth. Then we come to queer and questioning. Queer is like an umbrella term for just about anyone who is in a minority and that is not a heterosexual or cisgender.
I think, too, it's become a term that's kind of been brought back to the queer community, right? It was used kind of a derogatory way in the past, and as part of the queer community, we're kind of reclaiming it and using it to define ourselves instead.
Yeah. And my personal favorite, Q, can also be for questioning, for all of those people who hasn't really defined themselves yet and still are trying to achieve that. Then we have intersex. That is a person who is born with physical traits that is not common to either female or male. It is actually a part of human biology, where you can have both traits. Then we have asexual, which is an individual who experiences little to no sexual attraction at all. And I think we started off this acronym with 4 letters. Mm-hmm. Then we added on the Q and the I and the A. And there are so many expressions that we had to add a plus, because there's so many other beautiful expressions to have.
Yeah, I think that's personally why I love the term queer, because it's more inclusive in my mind than trying to have all of these letters to define people. And yeah, like you said, there are more that are being kind of defined, right? They've always been out there, but there hasn't been a word for them. And so as they get defined, they get added to this. But queer is kind of a better umbrella term than the alphabet soup.
Yeah. We are moving on to another question, and we are trying to do a word cloud this time. So put in any word that comes up in your mind about what does allyship mean to you.
Keep talking, I'm working.
I'm going to keep talking.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, wow.
All right, so with the word cloud, as people say the same words, they all grow in size, which is cool. And we can immediately see that support is right in the middle. And I think all of us from the queer community really depend on the support of allies around us, right? And you don't have to not be a member of the queer community to be an ally, right? We can be allies for each other. We can speak up when we see things that need raising. That support is super important.
All of these words are good words.
Yeah.
So.
Friendship, advocating, advocacy, community, inclusive. It is true. When they move around, I'm like, oh, how would they all go?
We didn't plan for them having all of these different colors, but
yeah, it looks good.
Loving it.
Rainbows.
It was totally planned, though.
Awesome.
So, moving on. So what does it actually mean to be an ally? Well, it is not about making yourself look good or feel better about yourself. You're probably in the start going to feel bad about yourself because you're going to realize you're doing some things wrong, and that can take a hit on your self-esteem. But if you pass that, if you recognize that you're doing things wrong, we all do, and go past that, there are so many people that are in need of this kind of allyship, and we'll be so thankful for you to be brave enough to go on this journey. Mm-hmm. And we are stronger in numbers, and over the years, the numbers have been growing higher and higher.
We've been finding friends.
We've been finding friends, but we need more friends. So that's kind of the whole thing today. But we are all... Sorry, my English is not doing English today.
It's better than mine. And I'm English.
So what does it actually mean, and how do you become an ally? What is the real things that you can do to support this kind of people? Weird people.
Us people.
Us people. Well, there are some very definitive things. Start off by listening and learning. Just by listening to someone else's experiences in life will teach you a lot. We don't all have the same experiences, and sorry, totally
It's all
lost
good.
track.
You're doing good.
Yeah. Coming again. And after you have been listening to all of these experiences, you need to help them amplify their voices. And that can be just opening up to bringing them into new projects, workplaces, make room at the table. We all know there are plenty of seats at the table, and the seats need to be filled.
And they need to be filled with diverse views, right? So
Exactly.
the more people we have at the table that come from these different backgrounds, we create a better discussion and a better end result from those meetings.
Yeah. Then moving forward, we need to actually take some action. That is to actually challenge and confront discrimination and injustice. This may involve speaking up against oppressive behaviors that rather often happen, actually, and to promote equality and inclusion to happen in more places than it currently is. And then to the toughest part, you need to be accountable. Allies acknowledge their own biases and privileges, and they are willing to reflect on their own actions and learn from their mistakes. Everyone who is not in a minority has privileges. They are just very much used to them, so they can't really see them. But just by opening your eyes and seeing them will make you understand where you have a different experience than someone else. And when me and Jess talked about this, there's privilege from without the community, but there is also privileges from within the community. I live with a male spouse. That sets me up for a whole different kind of life than what Jess has. So I have to acknowledge my privilege over hers. Because living with a female wife, that is much trickier.
Yeah,
it is.
I think I always think of it as like there's like a ladder, right? So when people say privilege, they immediately think white, male, middle-aged, cisgendered, straight. But it's not just that, right? Like you said, there is privilege throughout the community and from different levels. So if we just respect, and like even from you to me, but then me as a white female, right? I have privilege over non-white females. So yeah,
there's everywhere.
Yeah.
And lastly, creating safe spaces. Allies strive to create inclusive and welcoming environments where individuals feel supported and valued. They work to challenge harmful stereotypes and create opportunities for dialogue and collaboration. That is a key thing here. Not only a safe space where people from within the community can be, but we also need to bring in curious people in those safe spaces so they can ask questions from the curiosity of their hearts, like how can I address this? How can I be better at this? Or how can I help more? Being an ally is an ongoing commitment to social injustice and equality. And it requires a lot of you as an ally. We know that. You need to have a lot of empathy and willingness to change you and other people and just
to learn along the journey too, right?
Exactly. And it's going to be tough. But move past that, be brave, and it's going to do great things.
Yep.
So I'm not going to bring up Mentimeter just now, but you have another question in the Mentimeter now. If you are a person that would need an ally in the workplace. Because there is no shame in needing help. There's no shame at all. But
I think too, like when we think about allies in the workplace, like the support that they provide isn't just one kind of support, right? Yeah. So like depending on the day, we all might need a different person that we can rely on.
Definitely.
You want me to swap?
Yeah, you can do that.
It just seems to take a second to load. I need you to dance again while this.
Okay. But as I said, there's no shame. But it is what we are trying to achieve here today is for the allies to step up instead of those in need having to ask for help, because they're already in a difficult situation. Having to ask for help, that is a far stretch. So if we can get the allies to step up instead, that is so much better.
So these results are super cool. So we got 7 currently that say yes, 5 that say maybe, and 9 that say no. And I would argue that even the people that say no, that they don't need an ally, some days might need an ally, right? I mean, maybe you are a white male 50 person and you feel like you have the top of the privilege, but what if you're having a terrible day? You've got some, like an emotional phone call or something, you need someone's shoulder, you need that ally to stand up for you in a meeting that you didn't prepare for because you had family things going on, or something was happening where you just need a teammate or someone to help you out.
Yeah.
So we would argue that everybody needs an ally at some point, no matter who you are.
I mean, an ally is basically just a friend, and we all need friends, even if it's a workplace or at home or wherever. Yeah. So to sum those kind of things up, we are all in this staircase, and we want you to be able to have the tools to take the next step in your staircase. We are all at different steps. I am not at the top. I don't think Jess is at the top. But just take one step, maybe 2 if you find the right tools here today. But just evolving.
Yeah.
Is what
our goal today is to help you take 1 or 2 steps up on this ladder, right? Wherever you are right now, wherever you think you are as an ally, we hope that we can bring some ideas and some thoughts today that will help you take 1 or 2 more steps up on being the best ally that you can be.
Yeah. I don't think we need that.
We'll skip that one. All right. So let's talk about some microaggressions. We're going to talk about some things that you can look out for in your everyday life, that you as allies and as people trying to be supportive for the community, whoever it is, can start to recognize and can start to kind of call out or address. Now, as any good person writing a presentation, I looked up microaggressions, I went straight to Wikipedia. And that's where that came from. But what this basically means is these like little things that don't mean a big thing when it happens once, but when it happens 10, 20, 30 times in a day, they build up and it just gets to you. I watched Els give a really great Gender 101 talk yesterday, and they described this as someone stepping on your toes. Like someone steps on your toes one time, it's no problem. But if you're the 11th person that stepped on my toes today, I'm probably going to punch you. And maybe that wasn't a big deal, right? But that like overflow of emotion or whatever is because it's happening over and over again, and it's just slowly wearing me down, and my toes are hurting. So the first thing we want to talk about is inclusive language. And I feel like as a community, we are doing much better about using more inclusive language. For example, hi guys. Like, question?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Right, so hi guys.
Yep.
I have a challenge with that.
Okay.
I have a challenge with that because, yes, I'm a heterosexual cis white male that's 50 plus. Yep. And my brain works a bit differently and it still needs to relearn on some things. But is guys an acceptable term nowadays?
No.
Right, thank you.
But,
Sorry.
But I think it's going to be, it depends, right? I find myself still saying guys, and I'm like, oh, no, I said guys. Like, I don't, it's been so ingrained in how I've grown up, especially in the UK, like, guys was always a group of people. But then when you think about it, it's not a group of people. It's a group of males, right? Guys is predominantly like a masculine language. And something I read last year when I was preparing for a talk is if someone questions you on that and says, well, I think guys is inclusive, you'll say, how many guys have you kissed? And they'll be like, ooh, like I don't think I would define it that way, right? But it is hard, and I say it myself, like I said, and I will probably say it in this presentation and be like, ugh. It's just one of those things to try and think about, right? Try and be more inclusive. Hi, everyone. Hi, folks. I wish I could say y'all, but my accent's really weird, and it does not work. Rob and me do training days, and on training days or in sessions, when someone asks a question, he says, yeah, tell me, what's your question, friend? Or, yes, thanks, friend. Tell me about it. There are other ways of using language that doesn't have to be hi, guys, or like, yes, sir, what's your question? You can use more inclusive language. Sexual preference. Now, to me, that sounds like it's a choice, right? I believe, and in the famous words of Lady Gaga, that I was born this way. It wasn't a choice for me to decide I was going to be gay. Sexual preference, if you have that on forms and in documents, it makes it sound like it's a choice. Sexual orientation is a much better way of writing that. What about these jobs? Chairman, doorman, fireman. Historically, we've said that, right? We've said the firemen are coming. But it's not inclusive. That means there are no women that are firefighters? Seems unlikely. This one I actually found while I was preparing for this talk, and I was like, I've never thought about that, but blacklisted versus whitelisted. So now that we're saying blacklisted is bad, right? Rejected, not good, and whitelisted is that it's okay and it's good. Like, that is not appropriate at all when you think about it, right? And then the final one is saying something is crazy or insane. Like, that's not really fair to people with mental health issues that actually are defined, like, they have an insanity or there's some kind of health thing going on. Like, how does that make them feel when you're saying, oh, that made me so crazy or something like that? The next one is how long have you been with your husband? Now, unfortunately, I don't know if you noticed, but I was a little nervous earlier on, and I missed half my story. So the important part of the story that I forgot to mention was that while I was in America, I met a pretty amazing woman who's in the back here, which is also making me nervous. And we got married in 2018. And then in 2020, she was like, I want to live in England. And I was like, sure, we can go back. So we now live back in the UK. But the way that I dress and the way that I look, people don't presume that I have a husband very often. But my wife has longer hair, and she likes to wear more feminine clothes. You'll find her in a dress sometimes. And she has a wedding ring on. And when people see that wedding ring, they'll say, oh, what does your husband do? And she's like, my wife? But people will assume heterosexuality, right? You'll presume that these people are married to opposite members, opposite genders. It also presumes that heterosexual relations are the norm, right? That everything else is outside of the norm. You should try and be more open. Like, what does your partner do? Tell me about your partner. Or other half, yeah. Or better half, in my case. Yeah. We also presume that everyone is cisgendered, right? That everyone is presenting in a way that we see. Oh, we got a question, yes. Hold on, we have a microphone. Rob's on his way. Very fast.
Thank you. I just wanted to say the term cisgendered.
Yes.
We went through all the letters earlier on, and cisgendered is quite in my experience, a relatively new term.
Yeah.
That probably defines most of the people who don't understand what it is.
Yeah, totally. That's a good point. So I think we heard through the microphone, but basically the definition of cisgendered, and you're going to correct me if I get it wrong, but cisgendered is someone that presents to the gender that they were born or that you assume, right? So like someone who looks male and is feeling male.
Yeah, they probably never had to question what they were born with.
Yeah. That is a good point, though. The people that are cisgendered probably don't know what the word is, so that's a good point. Thanks for bringing that up.
But on this talk that we were giving earlier, that we're all in this staircase, some years ago, I found myself in a classroom, and we had a tutor, and she opened up in the best way. She wanted us, as the pupils, to tell her who she was. She wanted us to tell our stereotypical
your
notion of her.
assumptions,
Yeah, and me being me, I fell in the trap. We all said, oh, you have a husband, you have kids, you have a house, you have a dog. And she just laughed, because of course she didn't. She had a wife, and she was so proud of that wife. And she talked about their going on motorcycle trips. And at that time, I was so deadly ashamed of myself, doing the same mistakes as so many people do. And I felt like I should know better. I didn't. So yeah, we all make mistakes. And it's fine, but I will never do that mistake again.
Yeah. So I had a similar thing. I started at a job a couple of years ago, and I sat down, and I'd been there probably a month by then, but I didn't know everyone in the kind of adjacent tech teams. And a guy sat down, and he was like, oh, I dropped my partner at the station this morning. And I was like, oh, what does she do? And he was like, he. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gay too, don't worry, like, take away my gay card. Like, I was like, oh, but it's true, like, we're trying to do our best, right? We all make mistakes. It's okay, just apologize, move on with it. That brings us nicely to this next one, which is something that happens to me literally like 50% of the time I try and go to the bathroom. If someone walks in and they look at me and they're like, is this the women's bathroom? I was like, I don't know, did you check the sign? We're presuming I'm in the right place. My absolute favorite is when someone walks in and they see me, and then they look at the little like symbol that has a dress on the door, and then they look back at me, and then they look at the symbol again. They don't say any words, and they just do this for a while, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't have one leg and a dress. I'm just going to the bathroom. Like, do your thing. But this happens all the time, and this even happened this week at Bits, okay? I was in the toilet over here, and I was washing my hands, and I could see the mirror, and someone like walked in, and they're just like, and then they realized they just carried on. Perfect, right? We don't need to have a conversation about it. I realize I've got short hair, it's shaved at the back. It's fine. Just do your thing. It's cool. But when people make a massive deal about it, or like start going off about whether I'm in the right bathroom, it makes me super awkward. And it's fine if I have to deal with this one time, but if it's literally every time I try and go to the bathroom, it's terrible. These microaggressions really add up. Yes, Rob.
So, as an ally,
Yes.
how do I help when I see that you're misgendered?
Yeah, this is a great question. And if you didn't hear that, it is, as an ally, what do I do if I see that you're misgendered? Honestly, it depends on the person, which sucks because now how do I help everyone? But I hate those conversations. I would rather we just moved on and like got away from whatever we were doing. But some people would rather you corrected them, right? And there's a place. If it's something you can easily do, like in the conversation, you can say she or her or he or him, whatever. Like, I would say do that, because then hopefully they'll recognize it, and then we'll just carry on, like, oh, a mistake, I'm sorry, whatever. I never want someone to be like, what, stop, wait a minute, this is my female friend, because I hate attention, and I would rather we just carried on. But it depends on the person. You'll probably find some people that would rather you, like, corrected them and made a point about it, but it depends. And I think this is a great point, and I know we've had this conversation before. But like, as an ally, when you have close friends that have some of these things that happen to them, just chat about it. Me and Rob had this conversation because it happened to us. We were somewhere at a conference probably, and someone said he or whatever, and we just carried on like it wasn't a problem. Oh, I think someone said gentleman or something to us both. And so we just carried on, and we walked away, and Rob said, like, how should I handle that? Like, what should I do? What can I do better? And so we had that conversation so that he knows next time, if that happens again, because it will, he knows what he's going to do, right? And I think that's a really great thing we can do as allies. We just have to have these communication channels so that we can talk about it and we can get the support that we need. Yes, question. Hold on one sec. Rob is coming.
Please hold, please hold, please hold.
The Rainbow Man is on his way.
Beautiful. For that, if you're comfortable answering, what is your solution with Rob to go about that situation? What was your personal answer, if you're okay sharing with that? Because I've been in this situation, I'm like, thank you for asking me, but I don't know. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much what I said. I was like, I don't know. Like, it's already awkward. Like, let's not make it worse. And like, for me personally, if it's someone that I'm going to need to interact with over and over again, like, please do correct them, because we can't go on for me being sir for ages, because you're going to see me going in the women's bathroom and I'm going to get thrown out again. But if it's like someone that you're walking past at a train station and they say, oh, sir, over this way, like, I don't care. Just walk on. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe I have to grow my hair out, but I'm not going to do that. But great question. Oh, you don't look gay. This goes back to my beautiful wife again, okay? She's got longish, she just cut it all off, blonde hair, shoulder length, and like I said, I dress stereotypically gay, right? Like, if you look at me, you're like, oh, you've got short hair, you're wearing men's clothes, you're probably gay. So I look gay, I fit the stereotypes. But she doesn't necessarily fit the stereotypes, and so quite often people will be like, oh, you don't look gay.
I'm surprised. Like, what does gay look like? It's not a look, you know? It's like, it's me. So this one is just like another thing. Like, probably never say that. Probably not a great one to say.
Yeah.
15 minutes, okay.
We're going to do kind of a sum up thing.
Yes.
Just some
Do you want
quick
this?
things. Yeah, thank you.
Take it away from me.
We've been addressing this just recently. And I realized I was also quite nervous in the beginning, so I didn't mention my own pronouns. But whenever you meet new people, one easy way is to say that. Hi, my name's Linda, and I'm she, her. Not for your sake, but opening up the possibility for someone else to answer in the same way, because it is so much easier for them to do it. Otherwise, you always have to be that awkward. Oh yeah, and have these pronouns. That step up before, do the work.
Yeah, I try and put that as many places as I can. I put it on my slides whenever I present on technical talks. I have it in the bottom of my email signature, because if people see me and they presume male, if I have my pronouns there, then they can easily correct it. We don't have to have the awkward conversation because I'm putting it out there, right?
Exactly.
We got a question. Rainbow Man, hurry.
So I was once in the situation where someone was gender fluid,
Yeah.
and mid-sentence said, "No, I'm they, them, or she." I don't really remember.
Yeah.
I had a really hard time dealing with that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, and then after the conversation, it changed again. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
pick one. But how would you deal with that?
Okay, that's a great question. And I think something we should have said in the beginning when we weren't nervous at all was that we are talking about this topic as two members of the alphabet soup, but from only two members of the alphabet soup, right? I don't understand how trans people feel. I don't understand how non-binary people feel, because that's not me. And I think the pronouns they, them, or Ziza are some of the new pronouns that people are using for non-binary. It's up to them, right? We just need to respect their choice, their pronouns, because they know them. Like, I want people to use she, her, and so I think I'll always use she, her pronouns, right? But with gender fluidity and with non-binary folk, those aren't as set in stone, I don't think.
Yeah.
We have another question over there.
Where's the question?
We've only got 3 minutes, though, so we should.
Sorry, buddy.
Right? We've only got 3 minutes left.
No.
I just wanted to add a bit.
Yeah,
If you regularly bring up pronouns, if somebody is thinking of experimenting with different gender expressions, having the opportunity to go, actually, I'm a they, them, or actually I'm something else as well. When it keeps happening, it makes it easier for other people to actually come out or experiment or think what they might be now.
Great point.
Cool.
And on this topic of pronouns, I'd really recommend when the recordings come out to go and watch Elsa's talk yesterday on Gender 101, because they talked a lot about pronouns and they identify as non-binary. And so that viewpoint was really cool for me to see, like, how they describe these concepts, right? Because I can tell you what I know from my own research and from my own experiences, but they have a totally different viewpoint and a totally different angle of understanding on that. So yeah. And you're right. The more we share our pronouns, the more people think about it themselves and can share their own.
And to be fair, we had this discussion yesterday, I think it was, at conferences like this, where many of us don't have English as our first language. That adds to the difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
I try my best. I messed up. And she corrected me, and I really appreciate that. But doing that in your second language makes it all the harder. But
To be fair, doing it in your first language is hard too. And I think as soon as you realize it, you just try and correct it. You try and do better next time, right?
Yeah. But about meeting new people in these conferences as well, a good thing to keep in mind is when you talk to people, try not to stand in a circle. Try to open up, make a U form for more people to come up and say hi. It is so much easier than trying to snuggle in between in that circle.
I think, too, that's really important at tech conferences where most of us are introverts, right?
Yeah.
If I walk up and it's not easy to get in, I'm probably just going to walk away and stand by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, speak up. If you see something or hear something, say something. Yeah, you might not correct someone's pronouns if you don't know if that person needs that help, but you can do something. That is always a good thing, just to keep in mind, like, this doesn't look fair or nice. I should do something about this.
Thank you. The other thing that you have to do to be a good ally is you have to look after yourself too, right? These topics are not the easiest to talk about, and so if things are brought up and you want someone to talk to, one of the great things that BITS does is it has help available on site, right? We have a psychotherapist available at BITS that you can book in and have a chat with, and she's awesome. Rob thinks so too, right? She's all right. But if you need to talk or you need resources, they are available, and BITS does an amazing job of making this the most inclusive conference that it can be, and by providing someone to talk to is just another way. But also looking after yourself doesn't mean you necessarily need to talk to Tracy or you need these resources. Just check in with yourself and make sure that you're in a good place before you try and help others. I think on airplanes, they tell you to put your own mask on first, right? This is the same thing. Like, I can't help you if I'm struggling first, so. And support, like making sure that we can provide support for those around us. Like we said in the beginning, I think that everyone needs an ally at certain points in their life. So making sure people know that they can come to you, that you're a safe space for them to talk about whatever they need to talk. Maybe they don't want to talk about anything. They just want to drink a cup of coffee with someone in silence. But they know that you're a safe person that they can come to, and they can share some time and some thoughts with you.
Yeah.
So
we're going to finish up with a couple of more questions. Do you still find the LGBTQIA+ area confusing? Maybe we have made some people think more clearly about this. And even if we don't, we probably left you with some thoughts to make it more clear in the future.
Hopefully we haven't made it more unclear by...
Oh, we don't know that.
Oh, that was the ally one. Here we go. Do you still find the LGBTQ? All right, we've moved people along the... Boom! We've moved people along, and it's becoming clearer, right? And as we said with the ally staircase, this is all just a learning journey that we're on. Every day is a school day, and we're always learning. Even as members of the LGBTQ+ queer community, we don't know everything, and we're doing our best.
And you're probably never going to be fully learned.
Probably not. We will never know everything. But this is awesome. You want me just to go straight to the next one?
Yeah.
All right, the next one is, are you willing to actively support and stand up for those individuals, even when it may be challenging? And we have LGBTQIA+ on here, but it's really anyone. Like, are you going to stand up for people when you see stuff, speak up? You're going to provide that safe space for your friends and for your colleagues and for those people around you.
And I'm so happy to see this result. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. Schitt's Creek, great use of GIFs, Linda.
Yeah.
Well done. All right. So we'll wrap up the talk, and then we'll have a couple more minutes for questions. The first thing to mention is momentum and fitness are being highlighted by BITS this week as one of the charities here. They have a booth in the hall, so go and visit them in the hall, in the expo center thing. But me, Rob, and Rob's wife Tracy are going to ride 100 things this summer. Me and Rob are going to ride 100 miles. Tracy is going to ride 100 kilometers around the New Forest to raise money for this charity. My wife actually works for the charity, and their whole goal is to make fitness more inclusive. They're going to bring fitness to people that can't get to the gym every day, that can't necessarily do fitness as you imagine it. They have a couple of projects in swing already, and they've got many more, some that will hopefully tailor to the LGBT community as well. But currently, they have some kids that come in that aren't in regular school. They've been removed from the regular school system, and so they come in for an hour a week, and they just do CrossFit, and they have some fun. And then they also go into a kids' cancer ward and take fitness to kids that are dealing with cancer, which is super cool. So if you have any money to spare, throw it in this virtual bucket. But more importantly, go visit my wife in the booth, tell her you're in my session, and it was really cool. Also, as part of the feedback the feedback that you give for speakers, there is the option to choose one of the charities to donate to at the bottom, so you can choose Momentum. That would be super cool also. But the guide dogs also do great work, so either one. But if you would provide feedback for us, that would be awesome, because this is a difficult talk, and we're doing our best to bring non-technical talks to Bits because we believe it's important, and we hope that sharing our experiences will make it a better place and a more inclusive conference for everyone. More on that?
No.
Cool.
Questions?
So, yeah, any questions at this point? I think we have exactly 5 minutes left. Any questions? Yes. Rob. It's also really good if we can have questions on this side and then questions on that side, because Rob hasn't done many steps this week. Yes.
So I wondered how you feel about having to kind of declare yourself where you go, particularly in things like work, which are like a small part of what you do.
Yeah. Great point. Can you all hear the question okay? Great. Okay, so personally, I don't necessarily feel that I have to declare myself. Like, there's this whole thing that's quite difficult for queer people, that they're continually coming out, right? People talk about their coming out story. It's like this big moment where everyone in the world knew and it's done. But it's not. Every time you meet someone new, you have to tell them who you are, right? And so personally, I just try and be my whole authentic self, because it is exhausting not to do that. And I feel like if I can be who I am, and I can be at Bits, and I can be on this stage, other people can see that I'm doing that, right? And so by me being out and queer in public, I'm hoping that other people will see that and be like, okay, maybe this is all right. Maybe I can do that, you know? And there's something that if you can't see it, you can't be it, right? They talk about having women astronauts. Like, little girls can't dream of being an astronaut because there's no woman astronaut for them to look at. So when there are, it gives someone to look up to. And I hate to say that I'm a role model, because I don't think I am, but if someone can see even a little bit of themselves in what I'm doing, then I'm doing something right? But it's a great question. It is super difficult, because I'm on a continual journey of coming out. It's just to be one of the most awkward conversations you can have, and it's all the time, but yes.
Rob has a question.
I think Rob has a question.
Oh, no.
Hello.
Hi there, you're right.
Sorry. Yeah, less of a question, more of a statement, really. My eldest daughter is bisexual, my youngest daughter is aro-ace, and they are bringing my very old self up to speed, and they've both suggested that if you don't know someone's pronouns, assume it's a they, them, and that's the best way to do it.
I think that's a great point, because I think in our generation, like, it was becoming okay to be gay, to have different pronouns, to whatever, but the next generation, they're like with it. Like, we are not hip, they are, you know, like, they're doing it right, and I think we can learn a lot from them. So you're right, assuming they before you know, and if you have the opportunity to ask. One of the other things that I love about Bits is we have pronoun stickers for our name badge, right? And we have the she, her, he, him, they, them. We also have one that says ask me, and there's a space. So if you use different pronouns, like, ask me about them, and we can have a conversation, and we can all learn more, right? Yeah, that's a great point. Love that. Thank you. That wasn't, no, we needed the steps.
Right. This might be a little contentious, but
perfect.
It's
okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Like, younger people in queer spaces have sort of been talking about queer as a slur, like, especially sort of like a generation younger than me.
Yeah.
Tend to be like, queer as a slur. We were called that as kids, and it's such a big and useful term, and I don't know. I think I just sort of wanted to say, I know queer is really useful, but some people don't like that term as well.
Yeah.
So
no, it's a good point, and I think it was a very derogatory term in the past, right? Like, if you called someone queer, that was not like a good thing, and I think as people were from within the queer community, we've kind of reclaimed it, and it is a little political, but it does I hate being called a lesbian. Like, I don't like tags or names or labels and stuff, so I usually refer to myself as gay or queer, because I don't know why, I just don't like that word. So queer just fits better for me, you know, but it has historically been a derogatory term, and I think, I personally think it's changing more. But yeah, it's a good point. And I think that again goes back to what people themselves, right? Like, if someone refers to themselves as queer and they're comfortable with you referring to them as queer, like, that's cool. If they don't like that term, then they don't like that term. Yes, Rob. Yeah, I see that.
Now she's getting nervous.
Hi, wife.
So sorry. Mine is from the perspective, of being a partner.
Okay.
So it's not a question, it's more of a building on what you said, because I think it's really important to have this conversation with your partner or to just understand them. As Jess says, when something happens, she likes to blow through it, and I am the complete opposite. I want to tear them apart. So in the bathroom, I would like to point out she has a vagina, and I have checked. She does not want me to do that. So I need to rein it in.
Wife.
I need to rein it in. But my point is, as I've had many years with her, so I understand this. But if you're in a new relationship, I do think it's quite important to have this discussion or understand. I mean, there's a little bit of an allyship within a, whatever you want to call us, gay, queer relationship. Okay, so that's just my only point. If you happen to fall in the category of being in some sort of other non-heterosexual relationship, I do think it's important to have those conversations, so you know.
Very good point.
Your relationship can flourish.
Yes, I appreciate that. And yes, that's a great point. We are at time, but yes, you have a quick question?
Annoyingly, more of a comment than a question.
Love it. Do it.
That communication piece is the same whether you're in a non-heterosexual relationship or a heterosexual relationship.
Totally. Yeah, and I think this whole thing, this allyship, is all about communication, right? It's about how we talk to each other. It's about how we talk to colleagues, how we talk to partners. Yeah, it totally is.
Thank you for listening.
Agreed.
Really.
I appreciate you all being here, and thank you.
Yeah.
Good job, Pineapple.